How much do you actually need to retire in the UK? It's the most important number in your financial life, and almost nobody can tell you what theirs is. You've seen the headlines. You need £1 million. No, you need £1.5 million. Numbers so big they make you want to give up before you start. Here's the truth, those numbers are usually wrong, and they're wrong in a way that scares people out of ever planning at all. The real number, your number, is almost certainly smaller than you've been told. And in the next few minutes, you'll be able to work it out for yourself, on the back of an envelope. 3 things decide it. A simple rule that turns any income into a pot. The one piece almost everyone forgets, which is exactly the bit most people get badly wrong. And what a comfortable retirement actually costs in the UK, in real numbers. This is general education, not financial advice. Let's find your number. Start with the rule that does all the heavy lifting. It's often called the 4% rule, or the rule of 25. And it turns a yearly income into a single target pot. Here's the idea. Research into long retirement suggested that if you withdraw around 4% of your savings in your first year, and then rise with inflation each year after, your money has a good chance of lasting roughly 30 years. It's a rule of thumb, not a guarantee. Markets don't read the script, but it's a brilliant starting point. And it flips into something incredibly useful. If 4% a year is roughly sustainable, then the pot you need is just your target annual income times 25. That's it. Want £4,000 a year from your savings. Times 25, £100,000. Want 20,000 a year? Times 25, 500,000. So the whole question, how much do I need to retire, becomes a much simpler one. How much income do I want each year? Pick that number, multiply by 25, and you've got your pot. Hold on to that. Everything else just refines it. So what income should you aim for? You don't have to guess this either, there's solid UK data. Every year, the Pensions and Lifetime Savings Association publishes the Retirement Living Standards. They ask the public what real life actually costs at 3 levels, and these are the numbers for a single person, after tax. A minimum lifestyle, £13,900 a year. That covers your needs, a week's holiday in the UK, the basics, with a little left over. A moderate lifestyle, £32,700 a year. More security, more flexibility, a 2-week holiday abroad, the occasional meal out, a small car. And a comfortable lifestyle, £45,400 a year. More freedom, more luxuries, longer breaks away. 2 important things. These figures assume you own your home outright, no rent, no mortgage, so if you'll still have housing costs, add them on top. And for a couple, you don't double it. 2 people sharing a home need about £45,000 for a moderate life, not 65. Shared costs do a lot of the work. Pick the lifestyle that sounds like you. That's your target income. Now watch what happens to the scary headline number. Because here's the piece almost everyone forgets, and the single biggest reason those £1 million headlines are misleading. The state pension. In the 2026 to 27 tax year, the full new state pension is £241 a week. That's just over £12,500 a year, 12,548 to be exact. It rises most years under the triple lock, and it's paid for life, whatever happens to the stock market. Now apply the rule of 25 in reverse. An income of £12,500 a year, guaranteed and inflation-linked, is worth the same as a private pot of over £300,000. The state pension is, in effect, a £300,000 asset most people leave out of their sums entirely. That's the mistake, and it's why people scare themselves with numbers far bigger than they truly need. 2 things to know. To get the full amount, you need about 35 qualifying years of national insurance. You can check your record and any gaps on gov.uk. And you can't take it until state pension age, which is 66 today, rising to 67 between 2026 and 2028. So it's the foundation, but a foundation that arrives late, which is exactly why your ISA and SIPP matter for the years before it. Now let's put it together and get your actual number. The method is simple: take your target income, subtract the state pension, and multiply what's left by 25. That's the pot you need to build yourself. Let's do it for a single person aiming at a moderate retirement. Target income, $32,700. Take off the full state pension of $12,500. That leaves about £20,000 a year your own savings need to provide. Times 25, your number is roughly £500,000. Not $1 million. Half that. And notice what the state pension just did, it knocked over £300,000 off the target. Want the comfortable lifestyle at $45,000 a year? The gap above the state pension is about $33,000. Times 25, around $820,000. And the minimum lifestyle? The state pension alone gets a single person most of the way there, you'd need only a small private pot on top. And if you're a couple, it's lighter still. You get 2 state pensions, about £25,000 a year between you before either of you touches a private penny. So a moderate retirement for 2 can need a good deal less, each, than $500,000. A quick honesty note, these are illustrations. Tax, your home, and how markets behave will all move the real figure, but this gets you to the right ballpark in under a minute. So you got a number. Maybe it's 300,000, maybe it's 800. The question becomes, how do you actually build it? 2 accounts do the job. I've made full, standalone guides to each one, they're linked in the description if you want the deep dive, but here's all you need for your number. The SIPP, a self-invested personal pension, gives you tax relief going in, and captures any employer match, which is free money you should never leave on the table. The ISA, an individual savings account, gives you flexible, tax-free money you can reach before pension age, your bridge to that late arriving state pension. The real engine, though, is time. Because of compounding, money you invest in your 20s and 30s does far more work than money you add in your 50s. A rough sense of it, to build a £500,000 pot by 67, someone starting at 25 might put away a few £100s a month. Leave it to 45, and that figure can more than triple, same destination, far steeper hill. The single most powerful lever isn't picking the perfect fund. It's starting. And you don't need the whole number on day one. You need a target, a monthly amount heading toward it, and time in the market. The pot keeps growing while you draw from it, that's the entire point of the 4% rule. So let's bring your number home. The pot you need is your target income, minus the state pension, times 25. Choose your lifestyle from the living standards, minimum, moderate, or comfortable. Subtract the state pension that almost everyone forgets, over £300,000 of hidden value. And multiply the gap by 25. For a single person wanting a moderate retirement, that's around £500,000, not the million the headlines shout about. Build it with your SIPP and your ISA, capture every employer match, and let time and compounding do the heavy lifting. The real number was never a scary headline. It's a calculation you can now do yourself, and it's almost certainly more reachable than you feared. So here's my question, what's your number, and are you closer to it than you thought? Tell me in the comments, I read every one. If this made retirement feel less foggy, subscribe. One video. One concept. No noise. Next, how much should you actually have saved by 30, 40, and 50, the benchmarks, and how to catch up fast if you're behind. See you there.